Next item is 060817, which is a public hearing tonight for consideration of the zoning application of Homewood Place LLC to rezone 2713, 2725, 2727, 2739, and 2717 18th Street South and 2728 Mamie L. Foster parcel of number of parcels from C4 Central Business District to C-4B High-Rise Office Commercial District to mixed use for the purpose of permitting the construction of a joint hotel and retail development. And we're having a public hearing on this. Mike, let me ask one question. Do we need to take up the zoning before we do the development plan?
No, before we vote on the zoning, you'll have to approve the final development plan, but you might want to get the public comments first.
Okay, because we got, make sure.
It's backwards on the agenda.
It is backwards, okay. Well,
But again, you probably want to hear the public comments about the project.
okay, all right, fair enough.
We'll proceed to get it straight before you vote.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so I'm going to go and open a public hearing on this matter. And this did come out of committee, did it not?
Yes, sir. And I apologize, I don't have minutes in front of me. It did. It came to planning development. It came from the planning commission with a 5-0 to 1 abstention vote to approve. The planning development committee saw the presentation and voted to send out without recommendation pending the public hearing.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thames. And I will open up the public hearing for anyone to speak in favor or against this item now. Sure, please come to the podium. Come to the podium.
For a second.
You want to speak to it? Give us your name, Joe.
Ma'am, can I get your name and address here, please, for the record?
Okay.
I just asked if you change the second one to the one from top first.
They're both the same thing.
They're both the same thing.
So we just want to do one thing.
We're gonna have discussion on both things before there's any vote on anything.
I'm going to speak later again.
Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, anyone else wish to speak in favor of this item? Please come forward.
Yes, what's your name, please? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I'm Mike Moran. I live at 2880 Mountain Brook Parkway. I'm the developer of the proposed hotel. When we went before the Planning Commission originally, we were unanimously rejected. The comments were that the hotel was too high and we had inadequate parking. Since that time, we have reduced the hotel from 7 stories down to 5. I closed last Friday on an additional purchase of land, which I believe your staff will tell you now has us exceeding the amount needed to meet code. And in addition, if the city pursues the redevelopment of 18th Street, as I understand to be the plan, and installs angled parking in front of our development, I have committed to remove the parking in front of Wolf Camera, which is to become a full-service spa, as well as the curb cut to create an additional green space of, as you can see on the plan to the right. This is the existing Wolf Camera building. Right now, this is parking with curb cut. If the city improves 18th Street, we will remove that parking, which would not be necessary, and install a landscaped courtyard. I think that, coupled with the green space we are proposing, including on the corner of 28th and 18th, where the hotel steps back, gives us great opportunity for significant green space, which I think is appropriate since this will be in large measure the front door of the city of Homewood coming from the north on 18th Street. I think that's basically it. I think, oh, I'm sorry, we came out of, the councilman said we came out of the planning commission with a 5-0-1 vote. The one abstention was Billy Higginbotham, who used to work with me, and so therefore he abstained.
All right, thank you. While we have Mr. Moran up here, I will ask him if anyone has any questions for him at this time. We certainly can talk and discuss later as well. Okay.
All right?
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else who wishes to speak in favor or against this item? And Ms. Eccles, this would be the time to speak because the next item, which involves the development plan, does not call for a public hearing. So certainly, if you want to have any comments, now would be the time. If you care to make any.
I was waiting to see if anybody else was coming.
Okay, fair enough. I just didn't want to move to the next item and then say you cannot speak. So, all right, if anyone else wishes to speak in favor or against this item, please come forward. All right, seeing no one, oh, please come forward.
Hey, I'm Joe Eccles. I live at 308 English Circle here in Homewood. And I wanted to take this opportunity to, first of all, tell you that I have been involved in this since the very beginning at the Planning Commission level. And I have attended both public hearings and have asked the commission both times to reject this proposal. The first time they did unanimously, as you read. The second time was approved unanimously. Well, I would be remiss if I did not take this opportunity to say that now I am in favor of this project. And let me tell you why. The builder, Mr. Moran, has gone out of his way to meet with the citizens. He's come to the Green Space Initiative public forum. He has really taken into consideration what our vision should be for Homewood on the north part of the town. It would be an anchor. It will really open that area to Homewood, and it would be a great addition. I appreciate his concern. I appreciate his vision that he really sees what we are trying to do here in Homewood, and I ask you as the council to approve this, even though I had previously asked you to deny it. So I appreciate that, and I thank you for your time, and I thank Mr. Moran for the time and his, all of the people that have worked with us, and thank you again. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you, Ms. Eccles. Anyone wish to speak in favor or against this, please come forward. Yeah, I got to give them your name and address. Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can.
Now, the second time I've spoken into a microphone in 20 years. I'm also here to ask you to vote in favor of the final development plan. I have been at one of the hearings and have been working with so many people about developing meaningful green space downtown. And I think the green space is tied to two key things: strong and focused municipal planning and smart commercial development, and I do think that this provides that, and it leads on that. As Joe Eccles, my friend, said, I think, I think tying the green space in front of the hotel to the 18th Street development is a win-win for us. We get more for the buck. I think clearly he's recognized it as the North Anchor and how important that is. And I think it's a really good start to meaningful greening of downtown. I also think that he's setting a tone, this hotel and the development, in that real green space is good for business and is good business. So I just ask you to vote in favor. Thank you.
Could you state your last name for the record, just make sure I have it right?
It's Elizabeth Hunter.
Hunter, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else, please come forward.
How you doing? I'm Ken Shea, 112 Bonita. I would just like to thank Mr. Moran for the changes that he made. The green space, buying Tim Pruitt's parking lot, the gravel lot, not just leasing it, buying it. And I would just like for this to be, I think he's going to build a quality building. He says he is. He did everything he said he was going to do. The spa is a nice addition to Homewood. Obviously, we'll sell more chicken salad and sports shirts, so all of us Homewoody people are happy. So I just thank you for the changes you made. And, I would hope that, I know it was mentioned in the council that we can't ask people to build quality buildings, and I'm friends with Ed's Pet World. I bought a lot of pets there. But I think in light of what he's doing, it just says that, people want to stand for quality. I put a lot of money in my house. English Circle has a lot of money, and I understand if someone can't afford to put that kind of money in their house. But it's just nice, the quality that he's going to do. He did what he said he was going to do, and I think that's what Homewood stands for in the future. I know, Vestavia, Mountain Brook, they all have a call-out plan for the building materials that are in there. And obviously, you don't always get to deal with a quality person like this, and so I just hope in the future we can get this kind of understanding, because I think quality, quality has no no fear of time. So I thank y'all, and thanks for your time up here.
Great, thank you so much. Anyone else wish to speak in favor or against this item? Seeing no one else, we're going to close the public hearing, and I will turn it over to any comments or discussion from the council.
I would just like to give a shout out to Ward 5. Those are all Ward 5 folks, and we appreciate you all very much, and thanks for your comments.
Anyone else? Or with that, Mike, I guess we can go ahead and do the first reading before we take any action on
Yes,
this
sir.
item.
Procedurally, we need to make sure the council understands and the public. This is a rezoning to the MXD zoning district. Requires, prior to a vote on the rezoning, that you approve the final development plan. Now, the particular final development plan is also attached to the zoning ordinance that would limit this development to the plan that is now incorporated into the zoning ordinance. So the city's covered more than one way, essentially, that the only development that could take place on this property would be that development plan, which is attached as Exhibit A to the zoning ordinance that's been published at the time of the public hearing. So this is an ordinance to further amend Ordinance 1602 of the City of Homewood, entitled Zoning Ordinance and Zoning Map of the City of Homewood. Whereas the Planning Commission of the city has approved and recommended to the City Council that Ordinance 1602 be amended to take out of the existing Homewood Zone C4 and C4B zoning districts and rezone the property described here in MXD multiple-use zoning district. And whereas the council has set a public hearing as required by law and has given notice as required by law of the public hearing, that today is the date of the continuation of the public hearing. It was set last Monday, but it was canceled due to inclement weather. The property that's being rezoned is described in Exhibit A. All the uses permitted in the MXD zoning district would be applicable to the property described in Exhibit A, and the property would also have to be developed pursuant to the development plan attached as Exhibit B. And I want to point out in that development plan, although Mr. Moran has offered certainly to make a larger green space area in front of the spa. That would only be done if the city essentially goes forward with the improvements along 18th Street for on-street parking, and that has not yet been approved. So the plan that you're approving technically has the parking in front of the Wolf Camera Building until such time as the city modifies or constructs those improvements. Additionally, there are some parking on the at the corner of 18th and 28th that would require some type of easement. Mr. Ron has said in committee meeting that he would provide an easement so that would permit us to construct those public improvements that do encroach very minimally on his property lines as a part of the development. The development sets out that angle parking in front of that building, and as I understand, that's the city's desire as far as the improvements that we would make. So at this point, before you vote on this zoning ordinance that I've just read, you need to have a motion and a second to approve the development plan, which is attached as Exhibit B to the zoning ordinance.
All right, then let's go ahead and go to 070817, and we'll come back to the zoning in just a second. 070817 is a request for consideration of the final development plan submitted by Homewood Place LLC for the same previously described properties. This request was considered by the Homewood Planning Commission at its meeting on August 1st, 2017, resulting in a favorable recommendation by a vote of 5-0 with one abstention. And with that description, Mike, I think we can go ahead and do a first reading of the development plan.
Well, there's no reading of the development plan. It's just essentially there's the development plan attached to Exhibit A. So the proper motion would be a motion to approve the development plan for this project attached as Exhibit B to the zoning ordinance.
All right.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, certainly. I was going to entertain any questions or discussion about the development plan.
Mr. Kendrick, if and when the city hopefully does build the angle parking on 18th to allow the additional green space, will the development plan have to go back to the Planning Commission and then back to the council?
It would not have to come back if it's determined to be insignificant. Considering that he's represented that at the public hearing, likely not.
Okay. I'd move to approve the development plan.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the development plan, and this would be under 070817.
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Andrus. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the development plan stands as approved.
Yes, so the motion now would be a motion for unanimous consent to consider ordinance number 2668, which would affect the rezoning of the two zoning districts until the new zoning district MXD, based on the legal description of the property attached and the development plan attached as Exhibit B.
All right, and that'd be actually ordinance 2669.
Yes, sir.
And do we need a first reading on that?
I just read that.
You did read that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And I'll entertain a motion for unanimous consent.
Second.
Mr. Smith, a second by Mr. Gwaltney, and roll call, Ms. Melody.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Higginbotham? Yes. Mr. Wolverton? Yes. Mr. McCluskey? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
And Mr. Wright?
Yes. And without any further discussion or comment, I'll entertain a motion for adoption
So moved.
by Mr. Wyatt, second by Mr. McCluskey. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, Melody.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes. So ordinance 2669 stands as approved, and look forward to Hotel Curio coming soon. Thank you all.